Pregame.com.
The Bills and the Dolphins doing battle in South Florida. My best bet on this game, Miami laying 4.5, the total 41.5. Marco, Miami played well in last week's cover. Their win and cover against Jacksonville and Buffalo. Well, they didn't. They got beat 50-17 by the Seattle Seahawks. Before the season began, and we talked about this on First Preview Radio, before the season began, the Buffalo Bills were the most heavily bet team as far as futures were concerned. They are now the most heavily bet loser in the NFL this season, as they had a really disappointing 2012, but they're getting more than a field goal from a Miami team that has been absolutely pathetic, covering something like 9 of their last 42 as a home favorite.
Yeah, I look at this game and then I see that you picked this to be your best bet, and I just gotta say why. Yeah, this is a game
funny guy.
I probably, and I'm known for picking ugly games, but this one I can't trust either team. You've got Buffalo that they're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, when this team shows up to
Which
play,
one's good? I always forget.
Me too. Somebody figure that one out for me. But Buffalo's both, so we know that. When they come to play, they can have good games. But Fitzpatrick, he doesn't have 2 good games together, let alone maybe in a month. But and then Miami, you look at them, the offense, they just don't score enough points that I can't trust laying points with them. But I got to look and say, Buffalo last week, they got embarrassed, and we talk about let's give Chris Andrews some props on that stat. All right,
I'm joking.
We'll just do like everybody else and say, hey, I got this great stat, and not give him any credit.
I told Chris on Monday night. We did the first preview of Monday night this past week, the day after Arizona clocks Detroit 38-10, and I said before the show, I go, Chris, I think I said on the show, kind of half jokingly, but I said there's truth to it. I go, we've been talking about this on Vegas radio for the entire week after you dug up those stats on NFL teams coming off a 30-point loss and then breaking it down even further off a 35-point loss, and how well they do against the spread the next week. And I go, but I think only I have given you credit for digging up those numbers, because everybody else claimed it as their own. But anyway, Chris just laughed and said thanks a lot. But anyway, Bryan, Buffalo did beat Miami 19-14 in Week 11. That was at Orchard Park, and the Bills did allow less than 17 points per game in their 4 previous games before playing Seattle. So the defense was playing decently. And as far as Miami, that offense hit 20 points now just twice in the last 7 games.
Yeah, the Miami offense, they don't score enough points for you to want to trust them. And as you pointed out, Buffalo's embarrassed off the way they played last week. And the defense really, since the bye, they've been playing pretty well. I do have some concerns about the offense for both teams. Obviously, Miami doesn't put a lot of yards up. And Buffalo, they haven't reached 350 yards in 5 straight games, haven't scored more than 20 points. They haven't even got to 20 points in 4 of the last 5 games. So I'm kind of looking at a low-scoring game here. I kind of like the under.
I like the under also, but I've got a best bet on the side. Let's get to that. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had the Buffalo Bills 1.5 points better than the Miami Dolphins on a neutral field in my power ratings. And I don't give Miami much of home field advantage at all. It's a 2. That's what I give them. So you can tell where I'm going here. Miami's now laying 4.5 points. I think based a lot of that line off of last week's results when they beat Jacksonville and Buffalo was squashed north of the border 50-17. But I like Fitzpatrick, and I'm saying this relatively speaking. I like Fitzpatrick right now more than I like Tannehill. He's got twice as many touchdown passes than Tannehill does. And believe me, I know Fitzpatrick is basically a second-string NFL quarterback that's playing first string right now. But I like him better than Tannehill as we speak. He's also got Steve Johnson. He's also got C.J. Spiller. I think this Buffalo team is going to do what Arizona did last week. A lot of pride, a lot of individual pride that's going to come together. And again, just looking at my power ratings from before last week, before Buffalo got whacked by Seattle, this is a whole different line coming into this week if they don't get beat 50-17. I'm going to go with Chris Andrews' stat, along with these numbers that I've just given you in the player matchups that I've just mentioned, and take the Buffalo Bills plus the points, plus 4.5 as this week's video best bet. When we come back, we've got the Raiders and Panthers. That's in case you didn't like that matchup between the Bills and Dolphins. Bryan's best bet. Stick around for that and more.